All right, my babies, shall we? Yes, we shall. How are we? Uh, Today's script is thinking differently instead of exploring the notes, talking about music. Explore the sound and notes make music theory. Naturally, there's a relationship here. Whoever, I don't know if any of you is a musician or not, but learning music was a completely different mental structure for me. I bet it's all right. So here's the thing. We we develop very fast a certain ignorance towards how we started things with everything, right? Like I program right now, but it really like in my memory it was such a traumatic experience. But then wasn't that learning how to write, learning how to read, learning how to speak, weren't they all like frustrating experiences? Weren't they all kind of like, what the hell am I doing with myself? Why am I doing this? I don't wanna, like the tantrum that you would throw as a child. As an adult, you kind of throw it in your head and all that shit. So about 3, 4 years ago, I decided that I wanted to start learning music or playing the guitar, right? Because my mindset was like, that's what I like, the guitar. The truth is that guitar makes sounds, which could be music, it could be not. We've all heard somebody grab the guitar and like just make horrible sounds. And whilst other people kind of like uniquely choosing their phrasing and choosing when to kind of like hit the strings for music to be made. So within my approach to the guitar, I basically decided that I would do 5 to 10 minutes every day of like guitar. Right, I said guitar, not guitar practice, because for like 2, 3 years, all I thought about was everything bundled up because there was no separation with me. What do I mean by that? It means if I play the same song I've been playing for the past 6 months, that's perfectly fine because technically I would have spent the 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The truth is, I didn't spend time with the guitar at all. I spent time not even with the song, I guess, because ultimately spending those 10 minutes doing something you already know how to do is you kind of like, it's not really a unique experience, so it's not new. And if it's not new, that means kind of have wasted your time. Like it's like we all watch movies and videos and like series and shit like this. But every once in a while there's a series that kind of makes you changes the way you approach things because it like touches you. It kind of like stills and that's a new experience. But most of the time we watch movies because we want to pass the time and we don't want to be active, so we're passively doing that. But anyways, so like today is thinking differently. Instead of exploring the notes, explore the sounds the notes make and music theory. So the idea was that I bundled up all of the everything, what I was trying to learn, which is the guitar, music. I bundled them all, I bundled them, my skills. Like I could think of many things that I learned in the process of just trying to make music on the guitar. So my goal was to play the guitar. My goal now is to make music with the guitar. It created that separation. And the idea is instead of exploring the notes, which is what music theory is, and ultimately we all fall into the trap of just like learning about shit instead of like practically understanding where it comes from. So the thinking differently is just me extending because at first I only saw the guitar. But once I started playing the guitar, I started seeing many things, but I never adjusted because I started seeing music theory. I started seeing notes. I started seeing just kind of like sounds and rhythms and beats and melodies. I started seeing all of them, but my focus was always just the guitar. So as long as I played the guitar for 5, 10 minutes, it's enough. And I did that for a long time, and I did not grow within it because ultimately I was only doing guitar stuff, which, regardless, like, what's the point if I'm able to do guitar exercises? What's the point if I can move anywhere on the on the fretboard on the guitar, but I'm not actually making sounds out of them, right? I'm not making music that's cohesive, that's understood, that could be listened to, that's consistent. What's the point? So that's the thinking differently part. Because ultimately, all I was doing was just exploring where my hands should fit and how to basically be better at playing guitar. But you can't be better at playing guitar because unless you're trying to play music. And so the idea is that separation, because when I was ignorant about like music in general, I was attracted to the guitar. I could have been attracted to the drums, I could have been attracted to singing, I could have been attracted to anything. And singing, for example, I said singing, right? Because singing feels like it comes naturally. But you actually are using your vocal cords, which are very much a tool that you have to practice every single day and train every single day. So from that perspective, I got attracted to making music through voice, through the voice, but completely disregarded the tool. But from the other side, I'd see musicians play the guitar, and I got attracted to the guitar, and then that led me to music. So in a way, my familiarity with the voice allowed me to see things backwards, which also probably why I'm not a good singer because I feel anyone could sing because like we all have control over our voices. Whilst on the other side, not everyone is a good musician because not everyone knows how to play the guitar, which is also wrong because I could literally just create tunes in my head and have people kind of like translate them on the guitar if I want, and that's still music. That's what kind of producers do. That's what composers do. Everything else is just a means for us to communicate between each other. But the idea I'm still trying to process right now is just the whole perspective that I had. At first, it was just focused on whatever got my attention first, which is amazing, and that's with everything, right? If you if you wanted to play sports, for example, you probably like saw somebody who's fit, who's playing a certain kind of sport, and then you go like, I want to play sports. That's how I got into the gym. But then after a while, I realized how boring it is, so I was very inconsistent with it throughout the years. But I still kind of pushed myself. And I have yet to find like a sport that I actually am very much waking up in the morning to go do. But at least I'm thinking more over the past couple of years of like, how do I explore being healthy instead of just working out? Get it? Anyways, it's just like the destructuring of your own, and I feel that's where we kind of like maybe that's where we limit ourselves because whatever we find interesting at first, what effectively we found it interesting and we create an idea of how it looks like or what it is in our head. And then we take a step towards it. And then as it changes, we are still restricted by the image that we have in our head instead of like letting that image go. It's funny I say that because like that's the core of us changing is not just is applying change on all the different layers. It's not levels, layers that contributed to that movement towards change. That's amazing because there's an emotional layer, there's a physical layer, and there's a mental layer. Let's go that way. And the emotional layer changes because sometimes you're frustrated, sometimes you're proud of yourself, sometimes you're excited, sometimes you're energetic, sometimes you're lazy, sometimes you're sloppy. In the physical sense, sometimes you're awkward, sometimes you're, I want to say, flamboyant. Can I? I don't know if I can use that word there. And in the mental sense, sometimes you're over ambitious, sometimes you're under ambitious, sometimes you're kind of like I would say judgy or opinionated. Well, other times you're just stubborn. And with other times you have no fucking clue and you don't really care. And all of these, and these three layers kind of, yeah, these three, I love I've been making videos. It's almost 600 videos now. I don't think I once looked at uh, the emotional part of us, the physical part of us, and the mental part of us as layers. I looked at them as dimensions. And that's like a very cutthroat split between them. But when you're discussing layering, it's like all three of them kind of like end up with the result that you want. It's the flavor, the overall flavor. It's like cake, for example, because you have like whatever. You have the cream, you have the chocolate, you have the dough, you have the all that stuff are kind of like layered inside in a specific mix, fresh fruit, until finally the cake has its flavor. Any one of these layers is missing, you get a different cake or a different flavor. Not bad. So thinking music made me realize that learning music made me kind of like understand the separation. I'm gonna write layer next to it just for the sake of like remembering it later. Thank you guys. This has been a video. Love you.